Dear Dhamma friends, we are going to begin the Dhamma sermon. May you give your consent by saying Sadhu Sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Attime bhikkave dhamma bhavita bahuli kata apara parangamanaya samvattanti. Dear Dhamma friends, as we discussed on yesterday, we have taken Parangama Sutta as the topic for this Dhamma sermon. And that particular sutta is available in Magga Samyutta, that is one of the collections available in Samyutta Nikaya. And this particular sutta actually talks about the path. So as you all know, similar to that we have various paths available to go to various places, even to reach the enlightenment or reach the goal, spiritual goal, there are paths available. Now as we discussed on yesterday, there are different paths, different people have proclaimed, different religious leaders have mentioned, and Buddha too has given a particular path, and typically we call it as Noble Eightfold Path. And in this particular sutta, the path is mentioned like crossing to the far shore, very much like the people or the beings are in the near shore, and they are going from running from this place to the other place. Everything happens in the near shore or in the same bank, but going beyond and reaching the far shore is the kind of the theme of this sutta. Parangama basically means that one may be able to reach the far shore, crossing the typical floods and then reaching the far shore. And here Buddha says, Attime bhikkave dhamma bhavita bahuli kata apara parangamanaya samvattanti. Amongst there are 8 factors. Once developed and well developed, well cultivated, one will be able to cross to the far shore. And the bad thing, or the other hand, the unlucky thing is the vast majority of people are not crossing to the far shore. Rather, they are interested in various activities available in the near shore. So therefore Buddha mentions here, appakate manussesu ye jana paragami athayam itara paja tira mevanu dhavati. But it basically means that only very few crosses to the far shore. The vast majority are simply playing in the same shore. As we discussed, it may not be simply in this very life, but we are in the long samsara. We are having various births as human, as devas, as brahmas, but typically as the hell realm inhabitants, as animals, hungry gods, likewise. So that is our very much the home. So vast majority of all these beings are in the near shore. So they cross from this life to the other life, but everything happens in the near shore. So it is very rarely that one may be able to cross to the far shore. So that is what Buddha mentioned here. Appakate manussesu ye jana paragami. Only very few that who are capable of leaving this end or leaving this shore and reaching the far shore. Athayam itara paja tira mevanu dhavati. The vast majority of people are simply playing or running in the same shore. And here we need to recognize, so what is the solution that Buddha is giving? So Buddha's solution actually is in a way very philosophical, and again very practical. So one needs to understand that why we need to cross to the far shore. Why the near shore isn't it good? Isn't it safe? So isn't there enough happiness available in this near shore? So that is where Buddha explains about the unsatisfactoriness or the suffering as the first noble truth. So if we have some sort of a suffering, then we might look for a solution. But if we are not having any sort of a suffering, if everything happens as we wish and we are very happy, everything is available, and we have enough money, a lot of friends, and whatever the things that we like are available in our fingertips, so then nothing to worry. So everything is available, so then no point of searching for another solution, because there is no problem, there is no question, there is no any suffering. But unfortunately, even the people who have many things, what we consider as most richest people, millionaires, billionaires, if we still ask, are they really happy? They are not seems like happy. Now we maybe, say poor people might think, okay, if I won a lottery, so I might get really happy. But the people who already won the lotteries, still they are not happy. They are still going for next lottery, searching for another lottery. So keep searching and reaching, but it's very much like a never-ending process. So when are we going to be satisfied? Okay, this is enough. So I have now everything. So nobody seems like telling something like that. Every time there is a room for further development. Every time there is a room for progress. So this physical world, in that sense, we can't find some sort of a perfection. And every time there is something imperfect. So therefore the one characteristics that Buddha is showing is this is very much imperfect. So you can't find a perfection in this typical physical world. So we may assume that this is fairly enough, fairly good enough, but someone else come and tell it is not good enough. And they also persuade us to search more. So that is the typical nature. And as we discussed on yesterday, Buddha says that we keep the craving as our companion. So the companion every time tells, okay, I'm not satisfied, you go for a film and look at cinema. And so we implement that. So we go and satisfy our eyes. Then the companion will tell, okay, now I want to listen some music. So then we tune to the particular channel and we listen to music. And then the companion will tell, or the partner will tell, okay, I need some good scents, good incense. Okay, then I am going for the best one and then apply something. Then the partner will tell, okay, I need some tasty food. Okay, now I am satisfying that. Then again the partner will tell, okay, I need some good sense pleasure, some good contact, so I am now satisfying that. So will that end? Still not end. The partner will never stop. So he continuously asking, I need this, I need that, I need this, I need that. So continuously you are trying to satisfy the partner. So partner is not your husband or your wife, so don't misunderstand. According to Buddha, partner is craving. That is the long-term partner we are having, not only in this life, but in the long samsara, we are keeping tanha as the partner. Tanha dutiyo puriso, diga maddhana samsara. In this long samsara, people are keeping tanha as the partner. So we are constantly trying to satisfy the partner. So it's a never-ending process. So we become slaves to craving. So uno loko atitto tanha dasu. That is another statement Buddha is telling. Every time we feel like something missing. Now we have everything, very much like. According to others' terms, we have everything. Say for example, you have a very good job. You have a husband or wife and children, and you have a car, a good house, everything very much like available. But if someone asks from you, you feel like something missing. Oh no, something is missing. Atitto is never going to be completely satisfied. Atitto, tanha daso, so we are very much like slaves to craving. So this is the typical human nature. So that is to which that Buddha is trying to give a solution. So we therefore need to find the problem. Is there a problem in me? Is there any issue in me? Am I 100% satisfied? Or still I have some problems? So even though we may be materially satisfied, but our body never get completely perfect because it will be subject to aging, decaying, various illnesses, and that we can't stop. So we may be eating the best food, we may have the best insurance coverage, health insurance coverage, and the best hospitals, and everything is available, but still we get sick. So we can't stop that. So we are trying our best to maintain some good environment and everything, but still things go wrong. So you can understand, it's not difficult to understand. So people have various mechanisms to keep everything very beautiful, perfect and fantastic, but still things go wrong. So therefore, we can't in a way plan that I will live for so long in a particular this many years, and during such period I will not get any illness or any kind of an issue. So we can't tell like that. So the life becomes entirely an uncertain process. So therefore, as human beings, we have this uncertainty in front of us. So therefore, it brings a little bit of a fear. What's going to happen on tomorrow? So what's going to happen to our children? What's going to happen to our parents? So likewise, we always have some certain of a kind of a fear coming because of this uncertainty. So likewise, we have different types of suffering, imperfections, and therefore we can't say that any person doesn't have any, who has no problem at all. So everyone has problems. So now as individuals, if you have some sort of a suffering, now we need to look at, is my particular suffering is mentioned by this particular religious leader? If so, then he may have a solution. But if my particular type of suffering is not properly explained by the religious teacher, then that means I have to find someone else. But on the other hand, if we consider Buddha's teaching, he starts with suffering. His whole teaching starts with suffering. And he categorically says, I am teaching the suffering and the end of suffering. So therefore, sometimes we feel like he is starting with some negativity. But realistically, when we have a problem only, we are trying to find a solution. So therefore, Buddha starts with his teaching, there's a noble truth of suffering. And there's a cause of suffering. And there's a release from suffering, and there's a path leading to the release of suffering. And Buddha says, this never change. So this is something that very beautiful. According to Buddha, so these four truths that he's trying to explain us, he's giving a kind of a certificate telling these particular four truths are not going to change. Idan dukkhanti bhikkhave tathametang, avitatametang, ananyatametang. So these are very strong words. Now say for example, a scientist, say suppose he finds some solution. And if he tell that this is the best solution, in the future, no one else can challenge this. So can you ever heard such a scientist telling, okay, this is the truth, this is the best, and you will never find something better than this? You can't tell like that. But here in this spiritual path, Buddha says like this, Idan dukkhanti bhikkhave tatametang. Now Buddha is telling that this is suffering and this is tatametang, this is actual. Avitatametang, it is not going to change. Ananyatametang, it will not be otherwise. So it's a very strong statement related to the truth of suffering. Buddha is telling this is the truth, it's not going to change, it has its entirety, and it can't be otherwise. So he is 100% sure about it in that sense. Not only that, and he is telling the same for the cause of suffering. So he is 100% sure this is the cause. There is no any other cause. So this is the cause and he is sure about it. And that cause not going to change. I mean, someone else can't find a different cause, an alternative cause. Telling, okay, Buddha has gone wrong. I found a better cause. No one can tell like that. So therefore Buddha specifically tells, okay, this is the cause of suffering and this is the cause and it's not going to change. It can't be otherwise. Similarly, ayan dukkha nirodho tatametang. So the nirodha, the cessation of suffering, that itself is tatametang, that is the actual, and avitatametang, it's not going to change and it's not going to be otherwise. Avit ananyatametang. Similarly about the path also. Now he is going to tell us a path, show us a path, and that path also, someone else can't find a better path. As far as we can understand from his teaching, so this is the best path possible. So he is therefore telling, dukkha nirodha gamini patipadati tatametang. So this particular Noble Eightfold Path is the actual one. And avitatametang, it's not going to change. Ananyatametang, so someone can't come and challenge and tell, so this is going to be a different one. There's another alternative available. There is no such possibility. So therefore, with these strong statements, so Buddha is convincing us, Buddha is mentioning us, so these four truths are very strong. So our attention is particularly drawing towards the fourth noble truth, that is the path. So related to the path, so Buddha simply says there are two paths that you should not follow. If you refer Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, so Buddha says, monks, you should leave aside their two paths, useless. I have tried those two. So as when before Buddha relinquished the worldly life, so as a prince, so he has all the luxuries. So he has 3 mansions and only women are serving there. All the possibilities are there for the sense pleasures. So he has had it for the best. So if we are thinking of something, he had that. So likewise, the best of sensual pleasures are available for him, but he understood it's not going to give him a lasting happiness, not going to give him a satisfactory answer. So you can't simply by using sensual pleasures, you can't stop being aging. You can't stop getting sick. You can't stop death. So likewise, so sensual pleasures give you a very temporary satisfaction. So therefore Buddha says, so this is kind of a mundane kind of a satisfaction. It will last only for a moment. So as spiritual seekers, don't try to find a solution through that path. So he leave aside that path. Now he himself tried the other path as well, the other extreme. So that is the self-mortification. For 6 long years he tried the best in that as well. So he has tortured himself, he has used very little food, and he even tried to avoid breathing, and he even stopped eating totally, and he has tortured the body to the maximum and tried to find a solution. So that was a wrong notion had at that time, and even today to some extent these are available, and the Bodhisattva tried that path, and he himself understood this too not going to give you a proper answer. So therefore he is now leaving aside these two extremes. The indulgence in the sense pleasure, that is the Kamasukallika Yoga, and then the self-mortification, he says, these are the two extremes. Don't try to find a solution with these two. Now he is coming up with the middle path. So therefore, Noble Eightfold Path is also called as middle path. And then the middle path has beautifully three kind of sections, and that is called Sila, Samadhi, Panya. So Sila is the moralities part, Samadhi is the concentration part, Panya is the wisdom part. Now, if we simply think linearly, we might think as the path factors are ordered, so it is very much like first the wisdom part, then the Sila part, and then the Samadhi part. Then why? So likewise, we might get confused. But on the other hand, now this whole system, whole solution has very much an interconnection. So the morality giving some contribution to Samadhi, the concentration. And then concentration giving the footing for the wisdom. And again, wisdom strengthens the morality. Again, morality again gives some fertilizer for the wisdom. So likewise, so the Sila, Samadhi, Panya has a very much interrelated relationship. It is not that you have to fulfill, complete yourself in Sila and then only you can think about Samadhi. Once you fulfill completely Samadhi, then only you can think about wisdom. It is not like that. So these three factors are helping each other. So we can't have a linear model here, but for the sake of understanding, we may be explaining it linearly. But these three components are helping each other, contributing each other. Now, before we get into Samma Ditti, or the proper view, correct view, Buddha says the opposite also. That means, if one doesn't have proper understanding, or if one doesn't have proper view, so it becomes really dangerous for that particular person. So, if I refer Buddha's words, Naham bhikkhave eka dhammampi samanupassami yena anupannenava akusala dhamma uppajjanti. Uppannava akusala dhamma bhiyo bhavaya vepullaya samvattanti. Yathaidam bhikkhave micca ditti. Now, when one has a wrong view, Buddha says, so I can't find another kind of a particular cause than this wrong view. If one has wrong view, so it is capable of arising a lot of unwholesome karma, or a lot of unwholesome activities. It may be bodily, it may be verbal, it may be mental. So all these unwholesome parts are arising when wrong view is available. And if such are already available, and when one has wrong view, so they become abundant, they become more and more. So that is in a way very dangerous. And there again Buddha says, Micca dittikasa bhikkhave anupanno cheva akusala dhamma uppajjanti. So for a person who has wrong view, assume that he didn't so far involved with many wrong things, wrong activities, wrong deeds. But the very moment he gets wrong view, there's a high potential that he starts to do wrong things. He starts to think wrongly and start to behave in a wrong manner. So in such sense, so this wrong view is very dangerous. So, say for example, if one doesn't believe about that one's actions, assume that he simply believes, okay, I have simply this life and I simply have to enjoy my senses, and even I kill animals and all these things, there is no issue. So then he has nothing to worry, and he simply does or simply behaves as the way he likes. So likewise, when one has a wrong view, therefore it has a potential to act, to make this person like an animal. So therefore it's in a way, it's the most dangerous type of course. The opposite is also mentioned by the Buddha. There Buddha says, Naham bhikkhave eka dhammampi samanupassami yena anuppannenava kusala dhamma upajjanti. Uppannenava uppannava kusala dhamma bhiyo bhavaya vepullaya samvattanti yathidam bhikkhave sammaditthi. But if one has a proper view, correct view, then it becomes a blessing to that particular person. So far assume that he was in the wrong path, but now he got the proper understanding, correct view, and immediately it causes for him to put it to the correct path. So he now practice the correct deeds. He now use the correct words, and his thinking now entirely different. So likewise, so this wrong view and right view in a way becomes the forerunner of the path. So if one doesn't have the right view, then it is very much like you don't know where to go. Assume that you want to go to somewhere, but at least if you don't have a map, or at least you don't have some sort of a direction, then you don't know which direction to travel. Say you want to take a bus, and you don't know in which direction this particular, say, place is available. If you don't have at least such kind of an idea, so you may get into the wrong side of the road, and you may get into the wrong bus, and you may simply ended up with going here and there. So you won't find the proper direction. Similarly, in this spiritual quest, so Sammaditthi, even though it may not be the comprehensive one at the very beginning, but still some amount of understanding, some amount of feeling, some kind of a view has to be available, that has to be correct. Then only we are driven to the proper path. We are directing to the proper side. So therefore Buddha's mentioned Sammaditthi Pubbangama. So Sammaditthi becomes the forerunner. Now, on the other hand, now since Buddha is the one who found the path, since Buddha is the one showing the path, and he is the one who declares the path, so there are certain beautiful terms given to the Buddha, like Bhagava Anuppannasa Maggasa Uppadeta. The Buddha is the one who is arousing the unarisen path. Now there are various other followers who may be simply following the path, but for Buddha there is no one who has shown the path. So he is the one arousing the path. So therefore that is one particular specification or some noble characteristics available for Buddha. He is the one who is making it available. And then asanjatasya maggasya sanjaneta. He is the founder. It was not available. Now he has to find it by himself. So that is how he becomes a Samma Sambuddha. Now the others are simply following him, but for him, he is the one found the path. And then anakhatasya maggasya akhata. So he is not only he found the path, now he declares it. Okay, this is the path. So he is capable of explaining it to the others. So and therefore the Buddha is mentioned as some special words like Magganyu, where he is the knower of the path. Maggavidu, he is the seer of the path. Maggakovido, and he is giving the proper guidance. So therefore, related to the path, there are a lot of areas that Buddha himself has mentioned, and the followers are to be followed, and these are in a way very beautiful to us to look at, because it is not kind of a random path. It is something that Buddha has found, Buddha has arisen the path, and again he has declared the path, and many have followed the path. It is not that we are the ones firstly trying to go in this particular path, but many thousands, millions of, say, humans and devas have already gone in the path. So it's therefore a very ancient path. It is not a very new path. But on the other hand, when we are telling it's an ancient path, the people who like to look at in a radical way sometimes tell, okay, there may be a radical different path which may be more suitable in the 21st century. So such argument being nullified by the first statement that I have mentioned, related to the path, Buddha is telling, it is ananyatametang. It can't be otherwise. So therefore, even though the path is very ancient, you can't change it. So it is the path 2600 years ago, it is the path, say, 1000 years ago, and it is the path even today, and it is the path even tomorrow. So therefore, it's an ancient path, it's a very proven path. So therefore, we can have some confidence. It is not that I am trying to go as the first member, but rather many already have gone in the same path. Now, when it comes to the first path factor, Sammaditthi, so since that is the forerunner of the whole path, so it is interesting to find more detail about it. So because if we have the proper understanding of Sammaditthi, correct view, so it can shape the path. So it can shape our lives. And it can lead us to arouse a lot of wholesome deeds. So because Sammaditthi is the one causing to arouse a lot of wholesome deeds, wholesome words and wholesome thinking. As I mentioned, so when one becomes skillful in proper view, correct view, then that is leading to proper understanding, proper deeds and proper words and proper thoughts. So there also Buddha mentioned Sammaditthi has two types. Now, when we are slowly going deeper into the teaching, so we first have to have one kind of a Sammaditthi, and after we establish in that Sammaditthi, then only the more sublime type of Sammaditthi is available. So therefore we can't simply say, okay, I simply want to attain Nibbana, so I don't want any kind of other these mundane things. I want to go immediately to Nibbana. So I am going for this high tension line. So you can't go like that. So you have to start from the ground. So therefore Buddha says Sammaditthi has two types. One is the Laukika, that is the mundane type of Sammaditthi. And the other one is the Lokuttara, the supramundane. So you can understand now here, so we can't simply therefore tell like, okay, I am a meditator, I don't want these other things. So you can't tell like that. So you have to well grounded in the mundane Sammaditthi as well. So what is mundane Sammaditthi? So there Buddha says, Sasava, Punya Bhagya, Upadivepakka. So it has stains. And it is conducive for the merit. And it has, as a result of developing it, it has some good results. It has good assets. So that is the mundane type of Sammaditthi. So particularly this refers about the Kamma. Typically it is called as Kammasakata Sammaditthi, where you believe in Kamma. So believing in Kamma, now coming to another angle, now we want to discuss about the path, and now we have started about the Sammaditthi, and now Sammaditthi taking us to Kamma. Now we are in another angle. Now you can't simply tell, okay, I am a meditator, I don't want to search on all these Kamma and all these things. You can't tell like that, because the ground becomes Kamma. Now here, related to the Kamma, Buddha says, there are certain points that we better reflect frequently. Say for example, I am subject to death. Buddha is telling, okay, you better reflect that quite often. I am with the subject to become sick. You better reflect that quite often. I am subject to aging. You better reflect that quite often. Now these are not something we typically think. But unfortunately, Buddha is telling us, stressing, you better think about that. Don't wait till you become sick to think that, oh, I may get sick. So rather, before you get sick, you reflect, okay, there's a possibility to become sick. And again, don't wait till you become very old to think that I get old. Rather, when you are young, think quite often, I am subject to become old. Similarly, don't wait till the death moment to reflect about death. Buddha says, frequently think about the death. Similarly, Buddha tells, you got to think about the karma frequently. So, in a way, this kind of thinking will make us very good people. Simply make us very good sappurisa, because these are really eye-opening points. These are really eye-opening to ourselves. So when we are not thinking like this, we simply are going after various sensual pleasures and we don't care about others. And we simply want money, we simply want gain, we simply want fame. We don't bother about other things. But when someone is thinking, okay, I am also going to die. I am also going to become sick. I am also going to become old. And the last statement, that I have to be the owner of the karma. Kammassa komhi. I am the owner of the karma. Now, the actions you do, you can't pass to someone else. Say, suppose you did something wrong. So you, on behalf of you, you can't ask your neighbor or your laborer or your servant to go to the hell. So you can do that maybe temporarily in this country, but not in the but not in the real sense. Not in the real sense. Now these laws are very dominant. So you can't play with the nature. If you do something wrong, and there is a very beautiful verse in the Dhammapada, even if you are in the middle of the sea, even if you are in the sky, even if you are in a cave very protected, still it will come to you. So therefore, if you are, you can't simply neglect the karma, because it is very much like you are putting a seed. Now, when the causes are available, the seed has the potential to give rise to a plant. Similarly, whatever the action you do, whatever the words you tell, and even whatever the thing you think has a potential to ripen some fruit. So that potential is available with you. So therefore, Buddha is warning us, kammassa komhi, you are the owner of karma. And then karma dayadu, and you are the heir to karma. So you can't ask your child to be the heir. So if you did something, so you are the heir to the karma. Similarly, karma yoni, and you are born because of karma. Karma bandhu, and you are a relative of karma. And karma patisarano. And now we think, so far we might have thought about the bad side of karma, but there's a good side as well. Now if you do various wholesome karma, so that becomes your refuge, that becomes your resort. So therefore, in a way, wholesome actions have a good impact, have good results. So that is where Buddha says, sāsava punya bhāgya upadivepakha. That is the sammaditthi in the mundane side, where when you are involving with various wholesome deeds, so it will give results in the proper side. It's in the correct side, in the favorable side. and you are doing various good things. You are using your words to good for the welfare of yourself and to the others, and the thinking patterns are also for the welfare of yourself and to the others, and it has good results. So in the very basic level, in the fundamental level, if we simply understand, so the good karma will give us good results, bad karma will give us bad results. So very fundamental teaching. And then yang kammang karisami kalyanang va papakang va tassa dayado bhavisami iti. If I am doing correct things, I will get the correct results. If I do wrong things, I have to get the bad results as well. So very simple teaching, very core teaching in a sense. So this is where in a way we have to be grounded. So this is the kammasakata sammaditthi. And on the other hand, there's a beautiful statement by the Buddha, Chetanaham bhikkhave kammang vadami, chetayitva kammang karoti, kayena vachaya manasa. So it is not that unintentional actions also giving us fruits. Rather, the karma happens only when we intentionally do or say or think. So the intention is very critical. So intention comes as a one main cause for the karma to happen. So when intention is available, with a wholesome intention, if you do some action, then you will get the favorable results. With an unwholesome intention, if you do something, then you will get a unfavorable results. It's very much like that. So this very basic understanding, having established ourselves on this ground, in a way becomes a must. So therefore, morality you can't neglect. So morality in that sense, so whenever, say, when you are killing something, someone, some animal, so if that happens intentionally, so you can't neglect the results. Even though you may do various things, but still the consequences are possible. So likewise, say stealing, even though it may be possible to hide it, still the law of nature is available. The law of karma is available. So in a way, people are very much neglectful about these things, and they think that using power and all these various methods, they can hide all these things. But ultimately, things are available for us. So these are very basic truths in that sense. So we are simply forgetting the basic truths, and we are very much like challenging the basic truths, and we are using various other methods to cover up. So this is impossible. So that is where the ground becomes very solid, where we have to establish in this ground. We have to understand, even though I may have a lot of power, even though I have a lot of money, even though I have a lot of fame, all these things may be possible, but still I am under karma. I am subject to karma. I have no escape from karma. So there is something making us very humble, because these are very natural laws available in the world, available in the universe, and you can't hide from that. You can't escape from that. So typically in that sense, so if we are doing correct things, the results may come favorably, and if we do bad things, the things may come unfavorably. So if we are able to think like that, then we are well grounded. We become some good human beings, and based on that ground, then we can go for the next level. So punya bahagya. So when we are grounding like this, and when we are acting as a person, so I am doing some good thing. Okay, I am protecting animals. So I am protecting others' properties. I am giving something to someone. So I am telling the truth. I am using proper terms. I am using some gentle words. So likewise, I am doing something good. So now this is sasava. So there's a kind of a fetter here. There's a person available here. So that is how it becomes somewhat ignorant. Even though this is also true, but there's a person available here. There's a person acting. So I am giving, I am preaching, I am protecting. So likewise, there's a personing, sort of a personal view is involved. So the karma is being generated, but giving good results. So then the mundane type of sammaditthi, sasava, it has some sort of a taint in it, punya bahagya, and it has some contribution towards the merit side, upadivepakka, and it is giving good results because you did the correct thing. Now, if we got to little clarify these things, because this is very much like the ground. So there is no proper spiritual path if we are not established in this ground. You can't think about non-self if you haven't established as a good person. So therefore, thinking about various very philosophical teaching of the Buddha has no much meaning if we are not well grounded in this moral side. Therefore, if you consider morality, there's a personal view in a way. If you consider concentration, there is a personal view. Only when you are in a fairly advanced wisdom type of sikha, the training, then only you can really touch the non-self. So therefore, we should not think too much philosophically if we are not well established on the ground. We are not well established on the mundane type of sammaditthi. So you can't forget about mundane type of sammaditthi and only catch the supramundane sammaditthi. First you need to establish very well in the mundane sammaditthi, and you are becoming a good person, you are morally good, you are ethically good, you are thinking good, you are doing good, you are saying good, and then only you can go for the next level. So therefore, in a way, it's very much like gradual progress. It's very much like based on some sort of a gradual progress, and then only you may be able to hold on to the growth. Otherwise, even some may be able to do something instantly by forgetting about this, you can't maintain it. Say for example, if you are not morally responsible, so whatever the actions you do will be again come back as a result. And as a result again you get the consequences, so you can't maintain the sublime results. For the sublime results to maintain or the noble results to maintain, you need to have a very good ground. So this groundwork is available in the mundane type of sammaditthi, not the supramundane but the mundane type of sammaditthi. Actually the mundane type of sammaditthi becomes more in a way valid as you are well established on that, and then start to develop the supramundane type of sammaditthi. Because when the supramundane sammaditthi becomes somewhat tangible, when somewhat possible, then your mind becomes more and more open, more and more sublime, and you can't now break the mundane type of sammaditthi either. Now it becomes part and parcel. It becomes kind of an inherent quality. Say for example, when someone becomes a sotapanna, it is mentioned that he can't now conduct an activity which has a potential to be give rebirth in the hell realm. So you can understand, even in the supramundane level, you are now being assured that you are well established in the mundane type of sammaditthi. So therefore, establishing ourselves in the mundane type of sammaditthi becomes a prerequisite. It becomes a very basic requirement. It becomes the ground for our development. So I think this is enough for today. So we are basically trying to cover different aspects of sammaditthi. Maybe I can cover the supramundane type part next month. So with that concluding remark, I will wind up today's Dhamma sermon. Thank you very much for listening.